Alright everybody, welcome to this video. Here I'll just be doing a brief tutorial on how to use some of the applets that I've built to go alongside the State of Survival mobile app. Now this video will kind of be split into a couple sections. I'll show you how to find, launch, and actually use the programs within your browser so you don't need to download anything, as well as how, if you wanted to get more into coding, how you could download the code and make your own alterations. I will make sure to include timestamps in the video so that you can find whatever you're looking for easily. But to get started, you're first going to actually need to find my little applets. And you can find those by finding my repository over on GitHub. For those of you that have not used GitHub, it's just a platform for sharing code. So you can find me. I'm going to use this in a different browser just so that you can, you'll see how it will look for you because I'm logged in once again on Chrome. Now if you find me on GitHub using my account here, you can go under repositories and SoS for State of Survival. You can also just directly use this code, which will be in the description, and that will take you directly, to that repository. Now here, you're going to see a couple files, first of which is a README document, which you can read through below, as well as the actual code. So these are the little applets I have built. You can download these to your computer and run them. They are all in a Jupyter Notebook file, which is a way of writing a Python notebook. We'll get into that a little bit later. Now, to actually be able to run this code, you can run it on any device. You just need to click one of these buttons here, Launch Binder. And what this is going to do is it's going to start a server where you can run this code, meaning you don't need to download anything onto your computer. Now, you saw that earlier. It might take a couple minutes longer for you to load, depends on your internet connection as well as the hardware you're using. So the first applet we're going to run here, SoS1, I just created for ease of getting all your timers into the same 1 minute format. And the reason I did this, for example, if we log into State of Survival here, throwdown challenges. Throwdown, we can see, for example, bam, construction challenges. Now I want to see whether or not I have 1,800 minutes of construction speedups, but some of my speedups are 5 minutes, some are hour, and that's a pain in the butt. So I don't have enough plasma to build anything right now. And we can just go to the backpack, speedups, and we can see here that for construction, what do we have? We have 342 1 minute. Morale, we have 2,206 1 minute normal, 4,257 5 minutes, 33 1 hour, and then we have general speedups as well. So we want to know whether or not this is enough to do that timer challenge, or to finish a building upgrade. So for that is exactly what this first applet is for. And what we would just do here is we click on SoS1, and we're going to get this thing here. Now this is within Jupyter Notebook, which is how I prefer writing my code unless it's getting too big. And you'll screw through this. If you haven't really done any computer programming, this might seem intimidating, but I've tried to annotate things as much as possible and make it pretty intuitive. The hashtag or number sign is how you comment things out. So for example, if I get rid of that and I try to compile it, it won't work because it doesn't recognize this as an actual command. Comment it out, everything runs happy. So if you ever see a number sign, that's me providing information for you to see what's happening in the code. It's not actually code. So the way this works here is we can put in the specific speedups to whatever task we want to do. For the example I used here was construction, and for here we have whatever general speedups we have, and here will tell us, we'll tell the applet or program exactly how many speedups we need. So for the example, I believe in State of Survival we were looking for 1,800. We can just double check really quick. Yeah, 1,800 minutes of speedups. So for here, we would just put 1,800 minutes of speedups. Now, if we were doing a building and we knew it was whatever, like 18 minutes of speedups and 4 hours and like 17 days or whatnot, we could input it this way. So that's more for if you're seeing whether you can finish a research task or a building. But for now, let's keep this nice and simple. Now we're going to put in our values here. I head back into my backpack. If you were doing this, for example, with training, you could just select Speedup and see all the relevant speedups there. But once again, I don't have the, what am I doing? Materials to build anything. So we have 342 plus 2606. We can just write, for example, in this case, we have both the morale and the general, specific instructions, so we can just put those in one area. For 5 minutes, we have 4257. And for 1 hour, construction speed up, we have 33. And in terms of general speedups, we only have 1 hour ones, and we have 20 of those. General hour, 20. And now we can actually run the code. You saw I did so earlier, but everything was set at 0. Now I can either click anywhere within this little, what is called a cell, which is where we've written code, just the way this is a cell, which is where we just have text. You can click in here and press Shift, Enter, and we get a result printed. We can also press Run up here in the toolbar, Cell, Run Cells, Cell, Run All. There's several ways to do this. But generally, if you're in here and you're typing, you've already put in your numbers, just a Shift and Enter, and you're going to get it. So I'm now going to see that I have a lot of construction speedups because I don't have the materials to build much. I don't actually need that many and I have a negative value here. So if, for example, this was a substantially larger value, that would tell me I'm missing this many speedups. This is how many minutes of speedups I need on top of what I already have to reach that. Now, the reason that was a negative is I have more than 1,800, so it's actually telling me how many access speedups I have, how many more minutes of speedups I have compared to what I need. And here we have a breakup, so we can see I don't actually need to run into my general speedups. I'm more than fine running my specific speedups. Moving on, so that's what the first applet is. Moving on, we can look at our second applet. Now, as the little description here says, this one is calculating how much plasma you need to reach the next star level on a building upgrade. I'm actually quite simple with I am plasma 3 and no more. So we can see here if I want to upgrade this building, it's going to be 280 per level, and since I have 0 levels on, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go. So quite simply, plasma level 280 for 1 level. I have 169 in my backpack. Levels already upgraded, 0. Now that means I need 1,400 plasma to reach plasma HP 4, and that is 1,231 more plasma than is currently in my inventory. Now, let's say I was already at 3 out of 5 with my upgrades. I will only need 560, meaning I'm only missing 391. This is just a nice, quick, simple calculator to find out how much plasma, how much intel you need to grind through to get to the next level. And lastly is the third one. Now this is actually the largest one here, and it can appear intimidating, but it's quite simple math. This is calculating all the plasma costs to max everything, both the new research as well as the buildings in the game. Now, because the way Python works is quite similar to the way the human mind works. You have to do things in order. If I give you a bunch of information, if I ask you a bunch of questions now, and then give you the information to answer those questions later, you won't be able to answer those questions. Now, similarly, in Python, it does things in order. So if you get it to, well, let's say, calculate a bunch of terms like this, which aren't defined first, it won't be able to do it. So that's why right at the start, we just have all of our terms assign numerical values. So you can just skip through all this. This isn't anything we change. This is just intrinsically within the game. We're just going to keep scrolling through all this beautiful stuff until we reach the next big header. Here, you can fill out your building values below. Now, once again, every building has 5 levels to hit the next plasma rank. So I'm exactly plasma 3, meaning I'm done all 5 on those. Let's say, once again, if I was 3 out of 5 to plasma HQ4, I would put 3, but I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm a 0. Now you notice that these go up to 10. I just made these so that I don't have to redo the whole code. I can just add values to the buildings later, because I'm assuming the developers are going to add more plasma ranks later just to get more money out of us. But for now, everything that goes after this little line you can just ignore. You can put a value, you can put like 99 here. Everything gets multiplied by 0, so you can't accidentally make a mistake. Now, for my specific account, I'm plasma 3 on everything. So I'm just going to crunch through here. And Institute of Plasma, I'm actually at plasma 1, which only has 1 rank to it because you just build it, but once again, whether you put 1 or 5 doesn't actually matter in the code. And I'm just realizing I made a mistake, sorry, running on autopilot. I'm plasma 3, which means I run up to the plasma 3 category, but I'm fully upgraded. And there are 5 levels per upgrade, so those should all be 5s. Perfect. Now, what that means is if I press Shift Enter, I'll now see that this is the plasma required to upgrade all the buildings. That should be universal across all people. This is the total plasma I have personally spent on buildings, and this is how much more I need to spend on buildings. Now, you'll notice that there's still more information to do here, and for that we need to give the app more data. So we finished this section here where we fill out building values. Now if we keep scrolling down, we'll get research values. So we can check here and see that when it goes for research, I have reached 2 out of 5 on strategic dispatch, both under the infantry, the hunter, and the rider here. And I haven't done anything else. Now what's unique here is that unlike buildings, each kind of tier isn't the same cost. So for example, it is currently 20, but it was cheap for the previous upgrade and it'll be more expensive the next one. So there's a slightly different way this actually ends up being executed in the code. But from the perspective of the user, it's actually easier. You would just say what you have. So for example, I'm at 2 here, I'm at 2 here, and I have nothing else. So for example, there's only 1 rank here if you had those troops unlocked, versus, if I remember correctly, some are 8, some are 12. For example, 8, 12, 12, and 12. So we just put in how many of those you have completed. And now that you've put your research in, you can once again run the code, and then you can see I've spent about 60 plasma on research out of a total over 18,000 that's needed, meaning I overall haven't spent anything and need another 18,000 plasma to spend on research. That means overall to max both plasma buildings and plasma research, I need you would need 35,000 plasma, and I need about 28,000 plasma because I've already spent over 6,000. So that's how you would use this one. Now hopefully that makes it a little bit more intuitive and easy to figure out how to use these applets. You can just if you let this window run, it will eventually, if you leave it inactive for long enough, shut down, or you can just close it and it will stop. Once again, that's not actually something your computer is running, that's something that's being run on the server, so you don't need to worry about it. Now what if you wanted to write your own code, or you wanted to actually go through, download this code, and you just click on it right now, it will take you here, but you can't execute it. But if you want to download these and put your own account information in there, keep it saved, and just be updating down the road. Well, to do that, you're going to need Jupyter. And I have some links here that, once again, I'll post in the description. But Jupyter is absolutely wonderful. It lets you write your code within your browser, and it works essentially like a notebook. You can write your own markdown text between cells of code. It's truly, I would recommend it for anyone who wants more of a kind of a notebook of their code to go back to, and find out what they did. And well, I mean, exactly. If you want something that functions as a notebook, if you don't, there are plenty of great places to write your code. I actually use Atom most of the time, or you can just use a plain text editor. It doesn't matter. Now, there are different requirements to download Jupyter and to download Python, the actual language you'll be writing in, based on your computer. Now, I use both Mac and Windows-based computers, and I would say the easiest way to do so is to just download a package from Anaconda. Now, Anaconda, when you end up downloading this, regardless of whether it's Windows or PC, it will do all the work for you. It will get the languages and the depositories, everything that's needed to run it. So I'm unfortunately on this computer running the new macOS Big Sur, which isn't fully compatible with Anaconda, so I can't run it in my computer right now. But once you do run it and you open it, you get something like this, obviously in a higher resolution, look more like this. You'll have some options to either download or launch. Applets. So you want to make sure you download Jupyter Notebook. You can also download Jupyter Lab. It's similar to different. It's similar to how GitHub and GitLab are essentially the same providers. RStudio is great for stats, and Spider is also a really good place to write code, regardless of language, but specifically for Python. Now, once you download Jupyter here, you can you'll see that the install button will get changed to a launch. You can just launch Jupyter, and it will do so. On Windows, it will open a little command prompt window. On Mac and Linux-based machines, it will open terminal. I can just show you what it looks like if you want to launch it through your terminal. Now, you would just open the normal terminal window, and you would write the command Jupyter Notebook, and you would give it a second here, and voila. Now, what's important to note here is that this is not running, the user interface is your browser, but your computer is actually running it back here. You don't need internet to do this. This is all saved on your computer. So you'll see here I have my my entire computer is essentially here, so I can just go to code, and I can open here. I have like my SoS, and I can open these and I can edit these directly. This is just where I copied the code from onto my GitHub account. Well, conversely, if you don't want to sort through all this, there is an easier way. For example, you can just navigate to the directory you want to be on the computer. So cd desktop. Oops. Where are we going? Other stuff. So I can navigate to the Jupyter file on my directory on my computer. And now if I launch Jupyter Notebook, I'm going to need to actually kill this since Jupyter is already running. you'll see that once again it will launch Jupyter. But this time, instead of starting and essentially the equivalent of Mac HD, I start directly in this Jupyter folder, which is once again just a regular folder on my computer that you could navigate through in my files. So same file, same access, just the main difference is here I could go back to like anything else on my desktop or my Atom stuff folders, versus here, this is the topmost layer. I can't go anywhere else on my computer, so it just kind of sets more parameters. Alright, so now that we have Jupyter open, we can create a new file. And once again, this is actually going to create a .ipynb or a Jupyter Notebook file on your computer. So we can here just create new. Your options might be a little bit different depending on what you've installed. For me, I have Python 3 and VPython because I use VPython for some of the physics modeling I do. But normally, we're just going to stick with VPython. And here we go. This should seem somewhat familiar from the code, the little applets I made that we were looking at earlier. You can change the name here. And you can create cells with this little plus sign. You can write code in these cells and then execute the cells independently by once again pressing Shift-Enter, or you can run all of them by pressing Run All under the cell command. Now an example of why this can be beneficial is if you need to move bits of code around. For example, if we were to define hello to have a value of, let's say, 5, and we wanted to do hello plus 3, and we were using hello, the variable hello, for 5, this wouldn't work because hello hasn't been defined yet. Python does things in chronological order. So what we need to do is we just bump this one up, and now hello equals 5. Python knows that. 5 plus 3 is 8. We get an output. So this is kind of just a nice way you can move things up or down depending on where you need them in your overall body. You can also write things that aren't code here. So here you can change between code, markdown, raw NB convert, and heading. Now heading is just going to make it a markdown and put a number sign because the number sign is default for heading. 2 or for subheading. If you're writing any bits of code, you can make sure that it shows whatever code you're writing without formatting it using little tick keys. And you notice if you click out, it was going to continue looking like this, and you're going to see the numbers, signs, and whatnot. But if you press Shift-Enter, it's actually going to make things look the way they're supposed to be. And you can write your Python code here. Now, there are countless tutorials out there for how to use Python. This isn't something we're going to have. This is outside of the scope of this video. But hopefully, you can get out and do a little bit of experimenting, whether that be creating your own programs or modifying mine so that they suit you better. I would now just like to say thank you for watching this video. Boink. I hope the little applets I've created as well as the video on how to use them will be useful. If it is useful, please leave a like. If you need any help, leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you have any specific coding or Python questions or markdown questions, there is literally unlimited amount of material online. So best of luck with that. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you around.